there's a couple, and they're sitting in their breakfast nook. And they notice across the way that a new couple had moved in. And the new couple comes down and starts hanging her clothes up on a clothesline. And the wife looks at the husband and says, "Oh no, we need to go out and help them. They obviously don't know how to wash their clothes because their whites are dirty." Husband just keeps eating his waffles, goes on his merry way. About a week goes by, same thing happens. This time he's having an omelet and some bagels and maybe some bacon. But the wife looks out the window again and says, "Hey, look, they still know how to wash their clothes. We should go over and introduce ourselves and help them with their laundry." Husband just shakes his head, keeps eating his breakfast. So about another week goes by, same thing again. But this time, the wife says what she says, and the husband says, "No, dear, they didn't learn how to wash their clothes because they're all clean now. I just washed their window." And so the point there is that we need to sit in this room and learn about perspective and how we see things and how we approach things in our profession. We're all here to do great things for the community. And I believe that you're all doing wonderful things for the community. And what we've done in Folsom is really nothing spectacular. You probably all have programs that are even beyond what we're doing. But it's how I got to that point that I think is important for everybody here to understand. So the first thing I talk about is these are 4 things that I think we all might relate to with some sort of perspective. These are 4 of my things I chose to talk about briefly. Graduation. Whether you graduate from high school, college, technical school, whatever it is, you now realize that you have to go out in the world and do your own thing. You have to make it on your own. And that can be a pretty daunting, scary task. The second thing I have up there is marriage. So when you get married, you all of a sudden now have a partner. And that partner is helping you make decisions. Where you're gonna buy your house, where you're gonna buy your car, where you're gonna go to dinner. Whether you're gonna go next door and help somebody else do their laundry. You're now together with that person and you're making decisions together. The third thing is when you have children, especially in my life. This was a huge perspective change in my life. I also realized that there was no weekend anymore. They didn't understand what Saturday and Sunday was. There was no sleeping in. Had to provide for this young person. They depend on you everything except for pooping and sleeping. They can do that pretty much well on their own. But other than that, they're dependent upon you. The fourth thing that really changed my life was when my 2 boys were diagnosed with autism. I have a 13-year-old and 11-year-old. And for those of you who know about the autism spectrum, it's very, very wide. I have one son's over here, kind of low to middle functioning. Another son over here is very high functioning. And so that changed my world. Changed the way that I see things. I didn't even know what autism was until I had 2 boys. And I heard about it, but it's kind of one of those things just kind of blow over. You don't even think about it. No, that's not an issue for me to worry about. I'm just gonna go on my merry way, figure things out. So huge perspective change. Both of my boys love to swim. They're huge swimmers. This is one of my favorite pictures. I still don't know how it happened, but that is my younger son, Nick. We had just gotten a new camera, and it was one of those cameras that takes like multiple pictures at a time, and somehow we blended it together and got this photo. I couldn't do it again if I tried. But there it is. And something about the autism spectrum is kids who are on the autism spectrum like pressure. They go down the water for pressure seeking, for the sensation, sensory processing type of stuff. And this here is just a moment with Nick where he's just completely happy. You know, he's in his happy world. And again, it's one of my favorite pictures. But one of the problems I came into was, how do I get my sons into swimming lessons? Here I am, the facility coordinator, plan all these programs, provided 30,000 lessons to kids, charge whatever we do. But I didn't feel comfortable putting Nick in a group lesson. Wouldn't be fair to the kids in a group lesson. Didn't feel comfortable putting Nick, I didn't have the money, let's not say comfortable. Well, I didn't feel comfortable spending the money on what I charge for my own private lessons. That's not an indictment on the quality of our program. I just didn't have the money to put him in for 8 days in a row for weeks on end. So how do we do this? So we went and talked to the city attorney, and this is one of the statements that I haven't forgotten for a long time, and it's kind of stuck with me for a while now, is that we can't focus on the reasons why not prevent us from doing the right thing. I thought that was really, really profound. So when I approach things now with my staff and with my life, I kind of use that statement, that it's so profound, we gotta do the right thing, and we'll figure everything else in here. So we did that. We decided to do the right thing. We decided to provide autism spectrum swim lessons. And for the first about 2 years we did it and we charged. It was a semi-private type lesson, 2 kids and 1 instructor, and the parent had to get in the water. Parent participation. There's a lot of triggers with kids on the spectrum. So we're not training our lifeguards or our swim instructors to be occupational therapists or have a degree in special needs. They're swim instructors, and we want to have the parent in the water with them. We do have an occupational therapist who comes to our site, provides training for these kids. She's been great. She's actually spoke with me last year at this conference. We went to the World Water Park Association and spoke in West Palm Beach on this. And she kind of is the brains of the operation. I just kind of put it together and utilize the talents of my staff. So that is the problem we had. So we did the group lessons, very successful. But then we found out that there was Autism Speaks, and they were providing grants. And they were providing grants for some lessons. So we applied, and for the last 3 years, we've been providing autism spectrum swim lessons to community at no charge. They're free. Autism Speaks comes back, they write us a check, underwrite the whole program, and we are full every session. It is fantastic. I wish we could do more of them. And we're going to continue to do this because it's a wonderful, wonderful program. Something I'm very proud of. Being that we had a lot of success with our swim lessons, which were special needs, and I was a parent of 2 children with special needs, I was kind of the designated guru of special needs programming in our department. I am not that. I am not that at all. But we had a parent who approached us about inclusion programs, and that the city needed to do more inclusion programs. And so we sat down for about 2 hours one day and talked about this. And we met, we discussed our differences and how we thought special needs programs should be handled. We talked about our kids. We talked about our struggles and where we're going and what we're worried about in the future. And then we talked about creating a group. Creating a group that would go out and try to create awareness and try to provide more programs to the community. And we talked about doing this through a golf tournament, talked about doing it through a fun run, talked about doing it through a crab feed, all the normal stuff. And it was all just kind of ho-hum. And then she came with the idea of a fashion show. And so we did a fashion show. The one thing that Nell did here, she's on the bottom left of the picture, she said to me when we were talking though, is that inclusion programs benefit the entire community, not just the participant. And it doesn't sound like that wonders a statement, like wow, that's this huge thing. But we're trying to educate the community on the needs of these kids, to make the world we live in the future better. So we have places for these kids to go. My biggest fear as a parent of 2 kids on the autism spectrum is who's going to take care of them when I'm gone? What's going to happen to my 40-year-old cute son when I'm no longer around? Who's going to be there? So it's our mission now to basically educate everybody in this room, everybody at the conference, everybody in our communities, that these kids aren't any different. Okay, they just have special talents, or as Nellie would say, special abilities. Or special abilities. I think that's kind of cool. And we got to find ways to work with them and provide services for them. Not only to provide stuff for them, but to teach us too about patience and perseverance and all those great things. So we created the fashion show. And the goal of the fashion show was to develop partners, build awareness, and great community support. And we were able to do that because, first of all, these people here in these pictures are very, very dedicated parents who all have kids with special needs. And their passion for this program was huge and tremendous, and they couldn't have known without it. So we met about once a month for a year, and we held the Runway 17, which was the fashion show. But I stressed to them the importance of we want to build awareness first. That's all that matters. The secondary goal of the Runway is to raise money. The idea to raise money was we'd sell tickets, we would do a silent auction, and we would then try to raise enough money to where we can then hire rec leaders, train rec leaders with recreation therapists, speech occupiers, speech therapists, so on and so forth, so they can work with these kids. And then place them with these kids to go out in the community and participate in any activity they wanted to that we offer on a one-on-one level. So The inclusion part of that is, if you want to participate in a Lego camp, go ahead. You want to be on a swim team, go ahead. You want to participate in Taekwondo camp, go ahead. We want to be able to do this. And we raised over $13,000 in the first year. We sold 200 Folsom Runway fashion show tickets. We had a silent auction. It was a fantastic event. We created awareness so much so that the city, in this past budget, just 3 weeks ago, submitted for a new full-time recreation therapist to work in our community, provide these services. The goal of that is to then go after Cal State Chico, Cal State Sacramento, and any other university system in California that wants to provide interns to us who are getting their degree in recreation therapy, then be our counselors. So I am really, really excited about that. It's really cool that we ever create that awareness in the community. One of the ways we did that was by working with these individuals. And you can see up there there's a huge list that range from Kristen Wright, who's the Director of Special Education, State of California, Ernie Sheldon, who's a councilman of ours, Robert Gross, our Parks and Rec Director, our police chief, our fire chief was involved. We had Chris Clark, who's on the board of directors for our school district. We had a wide variety of people who bought into this and who are now helping us to create awareness, create partners, and develop the program. Here are some of the pictures, kind of cool. There's the runway, there's Ernie, back there is behind stage. There's Robert, if you know Robert, he was sporting the outdoor look. Kohl's donated all the clothes, sponsored the event. Here's Nelia's daughter up front, and then here's Kevin Kiley, who was the assemblyman up there in our area. So they were all involved in this event. This is a picture that was taken from behind participants. So in this fashion show, we had about 30 models. 15 were adults, 15 were kids. This was after the event. All the kids put on these white t-shirts that said, "Be an includer." They walked out on the runway, everybody clapped, and it was a really cool moment. That's actually my two boys there. Nick's in the front, Max is to the left. I just kind of think it's a unique shot. So in closing, one of the things my wife and I struggle with every year is to go out and try to find Nick the perfect birthday gift, the perfect Christmas gift, much like all parents do. We'll take Nick to the toy store or to the mall or whatever and try to find out what he gravitates towards, but there's never a moment that we go, oh, that's what he likes. He's just not into that. So we call it waiting for the wow. So I spoke at the runway event and my whole talk was going to be on waiting for the wow. And then I watched this video and I came up with a new theme. So check this out. This was his past birthday.
You're president. Ready? Go. Video. Oh. Whoa. What's that? Nick, show me and say cheese. Show the camera, Nick. Wow! Ooh!
Good job, Nick.
Oh, God!
Say
Mommy
cheese.
said cheese. Cheese. Oh, hold on. Mommy's in piano.
So that's Nick. And we were waiting for the wow, and we got it. It was fantastic. So that was my whole talk. But I started thinking, no, it's not about waiting for the wow anymore. It's about being the wow. We have the ability to be the wow in our community. We have the ability to build these partnerships. We have the ability to go out and take charge of the programs that we offer and provide everything we need to do for the community. So my message to you today is very simple. Develop partnerships and make connections. Build awareness, create community support, and be the wow for your community. In any program you pick, go out and be the wow. Thank you very much for your time. I hope you enjoyed it.
Does anybody have any questions for Chad?
Yes.
For the training you said you provided the staff, and you had a rec therapist and the occupational therapist, what kind of things did they come and train on? How long was that training segment?
So we have our occupational therapists come in the summertime before we start swim lessons. And I actually put all of our swim instructors through it. And she'll spend about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes going over kind of sensory processing. She'll go over some behavioral stuff. She'll talk about autism statistics. That's 1 to 68 kids. She does some drills and stuff to show the 8 senses we all have and how we use them and how different it is for kids on the spectrum to deal with that sort of stuff. So it's a very, very general thing. But she also then comes in and provides support there for us during the summer or whenever we need it, so she's available.
Is that training provided to all staff at summer camps or specifically just
Just to our aquatic swim lesson staff, because I believe that the lessons that she provides to those kids who are going to teach our autism lessons is still valuable for everybody in our team.
Kind of curious, what you did is awesome. About the runway, I've seen that done at Rancho Los Amigos, and that idea, just putting yourself out there, showing yourself. I'm actually kind of curious, what kind of wow have you sparked in your community around you that's actually started to pop up and develop? Because it's just one of those things that it's in that constant change.
Well, this whole project has been kind of a wow. We've got a community support group now. We've got a bunch of parents. I got about 10 people on that committee who are very passionate about this. I got the police chief on board. She actually walked in the runway. We got all the school board people there involved. We had this school board superintendent on site. We're also now, this summer, we're going to do a community awareness picnic. We're going to have the police and fire department come out and work with the kids who have special needs to demonstrate that they're not scary. Also provide information to the parents and what services are out there. So like the health program, there's another one that they put the tracker on the kids so they can be found. The other thing we're doing too is there's a video out there. It's an hour-and-a-half long movie called Swim Team that focuses directly on the special needs autism swim team. We're going to show that movie at a screening to help raise some more money. Hopefully get 200 to 300 people seeing that. This is kind of a passion of mine for the last few years, and it's taken a while to get here. But now we're at a point where the awareness has been raised and people are bought in. And if we get that rec therapist, whether we get it this year or next year, the fact that the city manager is willing to put in the budget is huge.
That's huge.
So it's a win, it's a victory that they're recognizing the need for that program.
I'm a rec therapist, I can respect that.
I just want to thank you for sharing your story. Actually, your brief talk was probably one of the most impactful for me today. I'm a registered nurse, but also now work in Park and Rec. And so, not only did you provide us great content, but sharing your story really drove it home, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
I appreciate that, thank you.
Thank you, Chad.